how to carve somebody up with a knife and try to avoid having them do the same to you in the process. So, and it's lots of fun when you're just training and it's not real life. It's a lot of fun. If two guys get into a knife fight and they both have knives, chances are both of them are gonna die. In most cases, if you're just talking about two bruisers that pick up knives, if you should ever find yourself squared off against another person and you're both holding knives, you really need to ask yourself, how in Christ did I find myself here, right? Because like, you could probably have walked away, ran away, and give a brief video about the very, very basics. So, when it comes to holding a knife, it really kind of depends on what knife. There's karambit knives where there's some guys that train to like fight really low and like slice for the femoral and like slice the Achilles, slice the nuts, and those knives are curved inward and they're super cool and that's fun to train. But you know, your basic knife, this is just a Gerber knife. It's a super solid knife. I use it for backcountry stuff when I'm camping and climbing. You can chop wood. And it's got a puño on the end, or what some people might call a skull crusher. But what these are most effective for, I mean, yeah, if you're in there and you can smash somebody's skull with it, sure. But where they're most effective is if you get tied up, like let's say you strike and someone catches your wrist and you know there's a struggle, you can use that puño like that to break that grab. I mean, it's incredibly painful to get that dug into the back of your hand or the side of your arm. It hurts so bad. I'd rather take like 100 whacks to my hand or my arm. Forget about it. When you train, obviously you use plastic knives and you have a face and a neck guard and you chalk the knives and you're all decked out in white. So it's like, and when you're done, it's pretty easy to examine the damage. So I'm holding a knife like that when I'm training, because it's not just about the number of chalk strikes you have, it's where they've been placed. I mean, I could have 50 on my opponent, but if they're all, you know, along here and here, and he has like 2 or 3 and they're all like right in here, he won, right? So, you know, the whole idea is you want to defend all of your vitals to the best of your ability, up to and including your neck. So a good stance to be in is to have your arm and your leg pointing towards your opponent. So, you know, you're at a side stance, and whatever, you know, if you're holding the knife like this, no matter what kind of stance you're in, it's good to have the hand that's not holding the knife up to provide some layer of protection here, you know, in case a slash comes in. And so this is what we're looking at as far as a stance goes. Like guys going like that, or you know, coming at people with side strikes, or in prison movies. So if you're unlucky enough in real life to have this problem, the main goal is to keep this thing holding this deadly weapon as far away from you as you possibly can so that you live. Once the two of you are inside each other, that, I mean, it's so, you know, the kind of strike that you want to give if somebody's out in front of you, I want to keep my eye on wherever the weapon is. Because what I want to strike is the hand that's holding that weapon, or the arm, the limb that's holding that weapon. If I can disable whatever's holding the weapon and it falls, then I win, chances are, and I go home alive. So it's not like I'm trying to stab someone, and it's not even like you're coming in with big slashes like that. What you're doing is little dinks like that. If you got a clean shot, you're gonna go for it, but this is coming down, right? You know, to disable that thing first. If they're coming at you down here, then we're dinking here, right? and we're trying to keep ourselves protected while we're doing. And when I say you're dinking, what we're doing is you're taking the sharp edge of the blade and you're not trying to slash like that. It's almost like you have a towel that's wet and you did one of these and went swack and whipped someone with it. It's kind of the same concept where you're snapping the blade. When you do this in the beginning, before you get really good at feeling a blade and how to turn it so that you don't accidentally drop it or it doesn't fly out of your hand or whatever, but flicking it is what you want, you know? Just a flick. Just like that. Hopefully, you hit someone here or here, you know? Bam, bam. And they drop the knife. And if you are skilled and or lucky enough to where, you know, you dink someone here or here, and I don't want to drop this knife on the ground because it's real, but they go like this, well, it's open season at that point. Or especially if they go like this and they're wide open and they're not smart enough to try to give some level of protection. So if someone's gonna kind of curl in like this, well, you go for what's open, right? So if I dinked someone's hand and I saw that reaction and I see what's open, I can just dink right at the neck, you know? So, oh shit, right there, just. So a dink is going to be easier to pull off than a slash because it happens so much faster. It takes less effort and there's no like recovery afterwards. You're not leaving something open here to poke if you miss. So that's pretty much all I ever did was dinking. I so rarely came at someone slashing like that unless I smacked them somewhere hard enough to where, despite the pads and I could tell it hurt them because I saw that physical reaction. You know, unless I really see someone react to it, I'm gonna dink in and just get the fuck back so I don't take one in return. And if I can give a couple and I can get that person frustrated and wherever their weapon goes, whatever hand's hold, fuck, now they gotta switch hands. They know in real life that arm would be gone, but you know, we're just using fakies and we've got some padding. But man, if you get hit right here on your radial nerve several times by one of those plastic knives, painful to get that over and over and over. Or on your hands. Same thing with like Eskrima sticks, doing that. It sucks. So just remember, you know, to wrap this up, you know, when you're giving those types of strikes, if you ever want to practice this, that's what you want to practice getting good at, is just being able to deliver that really fast and then getting back, reaching for a weapon and you've already got yours right in the face, right in the eyes, you know, so they can't see anything. And then maybe you don't have to follow through and you can get there. Remember, I don't want to drive, especially if my opponent is like 6'10" and 300 pounds. There's not a single reason to. All I want to do is dance around that fucking giant the whole time and pray to God that he doesn't get close enough to. Even with a plastic knife, it hurts. So keep a distance. Just remember that if you're ever in this moment, you know, don't try and go in and stab someone, because even if you do stab them right in the heart, they can still go and stab you right in the neck as they're dying in your arms, and now it's both of you, right? Just give flicks and get the hell out of the way. Always protect your neck when you're throwing that, just in case they decide to throw one right at the moment you decide to throw yours. Well, if it's gonna go right there, you know, if it's a dink, chances are your hand's gonna get filleted, but your neck won't. I just love this stuff, and I love teaching it. I'm not gonna lie, I miss teaching it. But for the average person, you just keep your face and your neck as far back as you can while you're giving those strikes. But if you make some damage, then go in and, you know, have some stabs. Some real slashes and some stabs. And on that note, that's the thing. Like, when you're making slashes, stabs, so you're not just going like this. You actually have hip rotation. And that's what gives you your speed and your power, even coming back. You know, confidence would be the name of the game at that moment if you have to go there. But yeah, that's like the very, very basics. With slashes, we're looking to slash at either side of the neck. We're slashing at the eyeballs, or, you know, if that's not available, slashing the belly, or stabbing in the femoral artery. That's a lucky shot if you get it. Don't get an expensive knife, just don't. There's no reason to. Unless you have disposable income and you're into artwork and you want something gorgeous, okay, great. This is a very practical knife to hunt with, to camp and climb with, and to fight with. The only thing I would prefer is if I don't need the blade to be any longer, but I wouldn't mind another inch. All I want though is clearance right there where it is not serrated and sharpened, so that I could take advantage of the nub and hold it like that, but I can't do that or else I'm gonna be sliced up. You do need something that will stop your hand. You've gotta have that guard, you know, so that you don't accidentally slip forward on the blade and slice up your fingers. And it's a real good idea to have a punyo. Doesn't have to be something this big and dramatic. It just needs to be something just long enough, and you'll be coming up there. And you see how that brings my whole body down? Well, if that body was in front of me and I was bringing it down like that, once it's down, look at where my knife is pointed, right at their neck. So, food for thought.